if you can let me know if y'all can see that as well. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's get started. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the live coaching call number 3 of EEA Masters. Again, I want to thank you all for taking the time, to attend this call. I really appreciate it, and also thank you to all of you who submitted your questions, using the form. So let's jump in here. So the format of this live coaching call, first of all, I'm going to tell you about a resource that you can utilize online that I haven't touched on so far in the course, and I think it's a very important resource that can be very valuable and useful to every one of you, and it's useful to me every single time I have a question or a concern, and that's the Amazon Seller Forum. So this is a free resource accessible to anyone, and I'm going to go through that in just a second. Then we're going to have the submitted Q&A, then live Q&A, and then I'm going to actually do some over-the-shoulder help. So I noticed that most people are still in the product selection slash supplier selection stage, which is okay. Again, it takes time, especially if you're ordering samples and whatnot. That can take a few days. I know that many people, are still at the product selection stage because that's taking, a while. Even though you've done hours of research, you're still, you haven't really decided on a product or finalized on a product, which is again perfectly fine. That's normal. Um, so what I'm going to do in the last part of this webinar, based on how much time we have, and we should have some time left, and that is that any questions that you have about a specific product, about, if you want to see me do the process one more time, or, whatever the case is, whatever help you may need, live over the shoulder help I'll give. So I'll go online, I'll show you exactly how that thing is done, whatever you need help on. So think about that if you want me to show you anything live here. Inshallah, I'll be willing to do that towards the end. I already had one question actually that was submitted that I'm going to be using as part of that final section number 4. So, okay, so let's get into utilizing the Amazon Seller Forums. We're going to just do this quickly in a couple of minutes, and we'll get into the submitted Q&A. So here's the link, and this link will be included, when the recording is put up. And excuse me if my voice sounds kind of rough. I've been sick for like the last week, so I apologize for that. If my voice is a little bit kind of shaky or whatever. Anyway, so here are the Amazon Seller Forums. Let me pull it up here. Okay, so here you go. So you can go to google.com and you can type in Amazon Seller Forums, or you can, just go to this link. Again, as I said, it will be included as part of this recording under the video. So essentially here you can search anything you want. Okay, so if you have a question about, restrictions in the beauty category, then you can actually search, beauty restrictions. And what's amazing about this is you have, access to like thousands of, people, and, posts and comments, and, people have figured stuff out already, that questions and concerns that you have currently, people have already dealt with those same questions and concerns. I mean, this is people from all around the world asking questions, and people are responding and providing their input and providing solutions. So this is an excellent resource. And what's sad yet good at the same time is that even though this free resource is a very powerful resource that's available to everyone, not many sellers actually use this or utilize this. Even though they know about it, some may not even know about it, but even the ones who do don't necessarily go here. So this is an excellent way, and this will make even my job a little bit easier, because if you have any questions or concerns, this is honestly the first place I would go. If you have, an issue that came up, when you're setting up your Seller Central account, or you have a question about a specific category or a product or whatever the case may be, this is the place to go first. And literally anything you can search, and tons of results come up, and it actually shows you the relevancy percentage here. How relevant is this results to your search? And as you can see, requirements and restrictions for selling private label supplements, ungating beauty, listing restrictions, all this stuff. Like if I had a question about getting into the beauty category, or the easiest way, or if someone knows of a trick or something that can make that process quicker, I can easily find it in one of these first like 6 or 7 posts easily, and it only takes a few minutes to go through them. Okay, so this can be, I mean, any topic you can think of. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head, but you understand the point, right? That you can just go here to Amazon Seller Forums, search whatever you need to search, and find what you need to find, or whatever issue it is. Then, if you do not, find the answer here, then of course you have the Facebook group, you have, my email, and you can ask me, or of course the live coaching call as we're doing right now. That's also, of course, another opportunity or another way for you to ask your question. But like I said, this should be the first place you go to. So hopefully that was helpful and that's valuable to you in the long run. Again, the link will be included under this video. So I'm going to stop here for just a second, make sure no one has any questions so far. If you do, let me know. If not, then we'll continue, inshallah. This is my first class. Is there a possibility to review what was covered in the first 2 classes? Yes, absolutely. The recordings of the first 2 live coaching calls are up in the members area. So if you scroll down in the members area, when you log in, then you'll actually see them in their own category, live coaching call recordings. So you can access those there. But welcome, to your first coaching call. Okay, I don't think there's any other questions or anything yet. So let's go ahead and continue. Feel free to put any of your questions or comments in the box, and whenever I see them, I will definitely address them, inshallah. All right, so next, let's get into the submitted Q&A. So I see the product that meet all the criteria we are learning, but when I open the next page, the same product rank over 6,000 BSR. What is your suggestion on this? Is it good to go with it? So, assuming I understood the question correctly, first of all, my advice is to follow the course. And I don't mean that in a mean way or, in an insulting way. I just mean that, a lot of the questions, some of the questions that I get honestly are covered in the course, especially with regards to product selection or even supplier selection. So make sure that you're going through the course in depth, make sure you're taking notes. And so again, this question, for example, is covered very clearly, in my opinion, in the course. So again, if you go back to the criteria that we discussed, find a product that has between 1,000 and 5,000 BSR, then search its main keyword on Amazon and see if at least 3 of the top 5 meet the same BSR criteria, meaning if at least 3 of the top 5 results are between 1,000 and 5,000 BSR. So, and that's essentially it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if there's a 6,000 BSR showing up on page 2, which is, I think, what this means. If not, then, please correct me if you're live. If not, then, hopefully if you watch this recording, you can maybe address it in the Facebook group. But if that is the correct interpretation of the question, then I don't think it matters that there's a 6,000 BSR on page 2. Or if there's anybody else on this call that understands this question differently, let me know. Maybe I didn't interpret it correctly. But yeah, just look at the course and the criteria, and it's all about whatever shows up on page 1. You don't necessarily have to worry yourself about page 2. And that's, of course, with regards to specifically the BSR criteria. There are, of course, many other criteria, price and reviews and optimization, competition, all that stuff, as you know. But with regards to this question, specifically with regards to BSR, that's what I would suggest. All right, number 2. We are made to understand that the beauty category is characterized by some level of restrictions. Yes, that's correct. My question is, does the restriction cover all the products in this particular category? For instance, a product like beauty, these couple of products, and are they covered by these restrictions? So the answer to this question simply is yes. I did go ahead and copy and paste the exact Amazon description of the restrictions in this category. So it says Amazon limits the addition of new sellers in this category to ensure, obviously they're able to buy with confidence. If you meet the requirements, then click the button below. Obviously, that's on the page. So here are the requirements. So it says you must be registered as a seller on the professional selling plan. So that's number 1. So of course, in the when I showed you how to create your Amazon Seller Central account, I showed you how you can set up the individual account, because that's the easiest way to immediately set up your account and actually get access to Amazon Seller Central. If you want to sell in beauty, though, like it says, you have to transfer, if you haven't already done that, from individual to professional, or if you haven't created your Seller Central account, then and you're expecting to sell in beauty, then just go ahead and create the professional selling account. Um, and then you are a seller with no Amazon selling history, so that's not an issue. You may only sell beauty products that are new. That's not a problem. The products you sell must be listed under the manufacturer's UPC. That's also not a problem. I already showed you in module 4 how to do that, how to get a UPC. And then it says your application must include copies of 3 purchase orders or invoices dated within the last 90 days for beauty products you intend to sell. So that's extremely easy to get from your supplier. You know, they can provide you with the invoices, for the inventory orders. That's not a problem at all. So very basic requirements, honestly, in the beauty category. It's not a big deal. And honestly, even if you don't necessarily understand all of these requirements, or something's a bit confusing, you can literally go to the Amazon seller forums and search. And people who may have had issues, or they may know even a quicker way of getting approved in this category, you can find those answers in the Amazon seller forums. Okay, so furthermore, the short answer to this question is yes. Number 3, there is a product that's doing very well, going by the consistent monthly revenue over the past 1 year. However, the product has a very low selling price in the range of $10. What can be done to bring the product pricing to the required average amount between $16 and $20, minding the fact that similar products with the same quantities are being sold the same price by the competitors? What do you suggest? So it depends, and I'm gonna answer this verbally because I think there's too many factors or conditions. That's why I didn't write anything out for this question. So if the average selling price of a product is in the range of $10, but you want to sell it around 16 or 20, it depends on how many people are able to sell it currently between 16 and $20, and how they're ranking. Honestly, that's probably what I would take a look at. So see, which products of all of the products in that market, specifically on page 1, how are they ranking? Are they meeting the criteria of BSR, the ones that are specifically between 16 and $20? If not, then I wouldn't recommend it. If yes, though, then that means that there is room for you to be able to sell your product also between that price of 16 and $20, and still rank well in terms of BSR, and still get to page 1. On the other hand, if the product, the only well ranked ones are around $10 or so, and the ones that are around 16 and $20, or between those two amounts, they're not selling well, or they're not ranked well in terms of BSR, then I would not recommend the product. With regards to what can be done to bring the product pricing to the required average amount, so what I mentioned just now is, that should be taken into account regardless. But just as a general point, the best way to improve, or what you can do to bring your price higher, or sell your product for higher, is to simply differentiate. And again, we've talked about this a little bit. Just provide something extra with your product. Make sure your packaging looks amazing. That way you can position your product as premium. Make sure your product listing is flawless, right? All of those things will allow you to basically price your product above the average price in the market, right? That's what's known as a premium product. But again, go with the facts, go with the data, see how many of those products that are priced at a higher price point, like 16 and 20 in this market, how many of them are actually doing well with regards to BSR. Okay, number 4, could you please answer some questions on images? Do we need a camera that is 1,000 megapixels? Please show us how to edit a picture to get the bright white background. Maybe a short tutorial would be great. So first of all, with regards to megapixels, there's a difference between megapixels of a camera and pixels of an image. So 1,000 megapixels is unheard of for a camera. Like for a normal camera, you're looking at around 15, 20 megapixels or whatever. That's a very good high quality camera. With regards to an image, that's what I mentioned in the course, is that the image on the Amazon listing should be at least 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. So there's a difference there. So no, you don't need an extremely high quality camera. You can get any good camera. The way you can check the quality of the picture with regards to pixels and to make sure that it meets the criteria of 1,000 by 1,000 is simply to take a picture with your camera and then transfer that picture to your computer, and you can open it up and see the info or the details of that image, and your computer would tell you exactly how, what the length and the width is in terms of pixels. You can easily see that on your computer. And that's what I did, because when I initially used the camera, I didn't know, how many pixels the camera or the image would be with that camera. So what I did was I just took the picture, I put it, in the transferred it to my computer, and I saw that it was good enough. And that's pretty much all you need to do as well. With regards to editing a picture to enhance it to get the white background, use Fiverr. Honestly, unless you're a designer and unless you want to take the time to learn it, if you're not a designer, which I'm sure you probably don't because it'll take some time, honestly, I would pay someone $5 an image to get your images enhanced. That's what I do with all my products. And not only will they enhance them, but they'll put that white background on them. So again, just go to Fiverr and type in, Amazon product image enhancement or something to that nature, and you will find a few results that show up. And follow the criteria that I, kind of outlined in terms of how to find the best, people on Fiverr. Basically, you just want to go to the top rated seller, filter it by top rated seller, and then just choose any one of those based on, their previous work or the reviews that show up. Okay, number 5, when does the Profit Phoenix free trial end? 30 days after you sign up. Very simple answer to that question. So just take a look at whenever you signed up, if you have an email to refer to that or whatever, and just 30 days after that, that's when you will be charged for your second month. So if you don't want to be charged for your second month, then make sure that you cancel it before the 30th day. If you do want to continue with Profit Phoenix, then that's perfectly fine. Just know that it'll be 30 days after the date you signed up. Number 6, when is the product selection checklist coming out? Soon. This was a reminder for me. So I will start. I've made a note of it, and I'll start working on it, and it should be done by the end of this week. I wanted to get y'all's suggestions actually, on this question. Do any of you have suggestions with regards to what you would like to see on this, on this spreadsheet or on this checklist? So obviously the spreadsheet itself, the product opportunity spreadsheet, has a lot of the criteria that you need on it. But someone suggested that they would like a checklist. So is there any other criteria or any suggestions as to what the checklist should be comprised of? Do you guys have any comments or any feedback on that? Okay, no, you guys are really helpful today. Okay. Someone said, I would also advise this person to listen to the last live coaching call, as you gave good advice about this in that session too. So this person is just basically referring to um, the person who's this is their first time attending a live coaching call. So as they said, the last coaching call was extremely beneficial. We had a guest speaker, Ridwan Mahmoud, who's the CEO and founder of Profit Phoenix. So he gave some very good insight with regards to shipping, air shipping, and ocean shipping, and suppliers and whatnot. So that was a great live coaching call. So I think that would be extremely valuable to you once you get to that stage of the process. Um, okay, let's see. Is the BSR somehow linked to the time frame? For instance, BSR for a product between our range in May, June, does that still apply on November, December months? I'm new. Pardon me if I sound silly. No, you don't sound silly, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. So don't worry about that. We're all students, and part of knowledge, an essential part of knowledge, is asking questions. So I appreciate the question, and it's a great question. So essentially, BSR can change at any time on any day. So the tool we use, that's mentioned in the course to determine the trends of a product with regards to BSR throughout the year is camel.com. So again, just go to that tool and you can find the BSR history, or throughout the year, the trend of almost any product. All you need to do is enter the ASIN, and everything is covered in the course. You can find that in the members area. Um, how and where do I add the free ebook? on Amazon Seller Central. That will be covered in an upcoming module. I'll show you exactly how to do that. Okay, let's see what else is there. Okay, I think generally it would be a good idea to have a summary action sheet for every module. Okay, excellent. I like that suggestion, and I think I will definitely put that together as well. That would be a super helpful, narrow our focus and make things less overwhelming. Okay, perfect. Let me just quickly make a note of that. I'm putting together a list of things that I need to work on for you guys. Okay, so product checklist and module summary action sheet. Okay. Okay, appreciate the suggestion and the feedback. Again, I'm always looking to improve every aspect of the course, so I really appreciate that. And of course, for anybody else who has suggestions, let me know. Um, okay, perhaps add a column to say percentage of good reviews received for each product in addition to the number of reviews. Okay, I'll definitely consider that and think about that as I'm putting together the checklist. How should we narrow down our products from the 20 to 30 to the top 3? Okay, so a video on that will be uploaded soon. That's another good reminder, which I will put on my list. I'll actually put that up later today because I have that video. Okay, so got that down as well. Um, on the product selection checklist, I want to suggest a column be created to cover the listing quality, while no is assigned to the quality of listings from 5 to 1, 5 being the best, while 1 is the least. A product with only good images but no bullet point and poor description should get lower rank, for instance. Okay, great. So instead of basically saying or making it arbitrary, like good or bad or whatever, there should actually be a scale of 1 through 5 for the optimization of a listing, which is great. So I agree with that, and I'll definitely note that down as well. Okay. Just gonna add this down here so I don't forget. Okay, I took all the BSRs of each product and got an average of the BSR, and I started ranking them in that aspect for choosing the product. Okay, I like that. I think that might be good as well for the price. So just averaging out certain columns, even that could work for the reviews, honestly. So that's a good suggestion. Just averaging out of various criteria. I think that's a good idea. Okay, let's move on. I really appreciate the input from everyone. So let's move on here to question number 7. Okay, so is the UPC FNSKU code only needed on the packaging? Yes, unless you have no packaging. So if you use a basic clear bag or poly bag, I recommend putting it on the product itself, not on the bag. That's just my suggestion. But generally, you only need it on the packaging. It doesn't have to be both on the product and the packaging. And this is generally the case with beauty and nutraceutical products. So generally, only these types of products like beauty or nutraceutical products like some sort of vitamin serum or whatever. Those are generally the kinds of products that you can just put in a poly bag or a normal clear black bag, and that's why for those types of products, it's highly recommended to put the UPC/FNSKU on the product itself, on the product label instead of the packaging on the outside. But generally speaking, you can put that on the packaging, and it's perfectly fine. With all my products, I've put it on the packaging. I've never put mine on the product itself. That's because I haven't ever done a beauty or a nutraceutical product. So okay, so number 8, is it all right if we just put our products in poly bags So that's kind of going off the last question. Yes, but I highly recommend having nice packaging to differentiate your product from the competition. So in any case, you can have your product in a simple poly bag that'll limit your cost. With the supplier, especially if you're, considering customized packaging. So a poly bag versus customized packaging will definitely save you a little bit of money with the supplier. But again, especially if you're going into a niche or a market that has a somewhat like a good level of competition, then you definitely want to, in my opinion, have really nice packaging. That'll allow you to differentiate just with the image of the packaging, and if it has a premium look to it, then that can set you apart very well. And again, with the main image, my recommendation is to have nice packaging and use that packaging as your main image. That'll automatically set you apart. Whenever someone is searching, a potential customer is searching on Amazon, you'll stand out from everybody else because not a lot of people focus on their packaging. So again, it's important to try to do things differently from other competitors and other sellers so that we can stand out to the consumers. Okay, number 9. What are the questions I need to ask suppliers for toys? What certifications must these products have in order to be imported to the U.S. and not stopped at customs? I apologize. I wasn't able to research fully into this question, so because I know the person who asked this question, and she's going to be upset with me. But I'm actually looking into it as we speak. So I will message you privately with the answer to this question. I'm honestly going to go to the seller forums and search for this first. If I don't, then I'll contact some of my mentors and colleagues who have some more experience in certain things than I do. So I'll definitely get to you. But in my opinion, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's any certifications or restrictions with regards to toys, especially with regards to customs. But again, I'll look into it in more detail and get that answer to you right after this webinar or after this coaching call. Number 10, I am going for a main product, but including 2 free things that match the product. Okay, so I'm hoping that this will make me more competitive. However, the problem I'm having is that suppliers are not making all 3 things. What do you suggest I do? I really need I really need to make this set to differentiate my product. Some suppliers have offered to buy it themselves and sell it to me, but that means I will have no samples and therefore have no idea about the quality. Should I find 2 different suppliers and have one ship it to the other who can then pack it all together? Okay, so it's an interesting question. There's a lot of parts to this question. First of all, I would suggest that you get samples for every one of your products. So don't ever, get a product or commit to a product until you've tested it out, and until you've actually touched the sample yourself and done some quality control on it. Secondly, with regards to, so it seems like there's a main product and then there's 2 free things. Suppliers are not making all 3 things. What do I say? Okay, so there are companies that I will recommend to you that I'll put under this video that can, if you have like a couple of different suppliers who are making different products for you, then you can have this company, this third party company, basically package your those products for you and then ship it off to Amazon FBA. So they'll most likely go to those suppliers, to those various suppliers, pick up all the goods, bring them to their warehouse or their factory, pack them up the way you want to, and then send it off to Amazon FBA. This happens sometimes when suppliers charge too much for customized packaging. So what sometimes people do is they'll find their own designers or their own, people in China that will basically coordinate with the supplier to get the product. So once the production of the products is done, then they basically send that product to the people who are making the packaging design or printing the packaging. They package everything together and then they send it off to Amazon FBA. So that's also done in that instance. So I'm going to include some links to some companies or organizations that may be able to help you in China do this, hopefully. Okay, so I have been contacting suppliers, been inquiring for inventory below their MOQ, and a few have replied back saying quantity is too low. Can you suggest, or can you just negotiate on price and not inventory order? Um, okay, that's not the correct answer. So, okay. So with regards to uh, lowering the MOQ, I would just continue negotiating. If they don't go below the MOQ or whatever, if they don't come down to the quantity that you are requesting, then I would honestly just, just give them a pass, meaning just don't, don't consider them as one of your final suppliers. You can generally find suppliers that will go down, to your MOQ. You just have to keep searching. The other thing with regards to this is that you can use another site called AliExpress. So Alibaba.com is definitely by far the most popular, but AliExpress is another site that generally it's known to have lower MOQs from suppliers. So that could be another site that you want to check out. It doesn't have the variety, or it's not as popular as Alibaba by any means. But if you're looking for lower MOQ, that may be a site to consider and check out at the very least. Maybe see if you can get some lower MOQs there. Of course, anytime you lower the quantity of units that you're ordering from a supplier, the higher the price is going to go. So, you want to consider that. That's why I recommend getting price tiers. So if you want to get, tiers of, okay, 250, 500, and 750 units, that's better. Even if you only want to order 250, if the price difference between ordering 250 and 500 is so great, that you're going to get a much lower rate at 500, let's say you save like 50 cents or a dollar per unit, then you may want to consider that, obviously. It just depends on the situation. So that's kind of my input there. I don't understand the last part of the question. Can you just negotiate on price and not inventory order? I don't completely understand that part. So if you're live, if you want to clarify that part, I can address that as well. Okay, number 12, can you check the competition level on this product? Propane tank gauge scale, it ranks number 6 in patio. I feel like it has low competition, thanks. I will cover this in my live over the shoulder training at the end. So I love this question. It's very specific, and this is one of the questions, or one of the examples that I'll be going through at the end of this coaching call in a few minutes. Is there a way to estimate the amount of import fees that could be charged when a product is shipped from China to the US? I'd like to see if I can have an approximate figure of total cost, including import fees, when finalizing the product. Um, I think that generally, if you tell the supplier door-to-door shipping, they include that in your total cost. Okay, so if you say door-to-door specifically, then that not only do they include the cost of the shipping, but they'll include even the cost of customs and getting through the import fees and whatnot. So that's that. But is with like for just to give you an example, I don't think there's any way to estimate the exact amount of fees that you may be charged when a product is shipped. But just to give you an example, I recently ordered, I believe, 1,000 units of a product, one of my newer products, and this actually hadn't happened even once before with any one of my previous products, but for this one, it happened for some reason. I got a letter from DHL, which was the supplier, or which was the courier, or the company that the supplier used to ship the products, and it was a bill for like $95 or something. So on 1,000 units, $95, it wasn't that bad. I'm actually contacting my supplier to see if they can take care of that, because again, my understanding with my supplier was you'll take care of all of the cost from door to door, meaning I don't want to be responsible for anything in between. So include that in your fees. So I'm going to see if I can work that out with him. Hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. So that's essentially it for the submitted questions. Uh, so now let's go to live Q&A. And I'm going to go through the comments here, questions. Someone said can't hear. Can y'all hear me? Okay, now I can. Okay, cool. All right, just making sure. Uh, okay. Okay, the question on how to scale pricing from $10 to about $15 to $20. The affected product falls into two separate categories. One is ranked under 100 in one category. while a similar product is ranked under 5,000 under home and kitchen, while the one under 100 BSR goes for $10, the other in home and kitchen goes for $15.98 without any additional incentive but only increased quantity. Do you think that is a good way of raising the price to a desired level? Hmm. It's a good question. Sorry, I'm thinking about this one. The affected product falls into two separate categories. Well, I would still need to see. I think I still need more details on this. I would still need to see, um, within each respective category, right? You said there's two categories. I would still need to see within each one what the ranks look like. Okay, so how are products ranking in home and kitchen versus the other category? Just one product is not, or one listing is not enough, in my opinion, to make a final decision on this. But in terms of if this is a good way of raising price to a desired level, I don't understand also what you mean by increased quantity. So while the other one on under 100 BSR goes for $10, the other one goes for 16 without any additional incentive, but only increased quantity. I don't know if that's supposed to be quality. Maybe you can clarify that so I can better answer the question. CNF USA. I'm not sure what you're referring to exactly. If you can clarify that, that'd be great. I did ask for price tiers, but the supplier based their response on what I wrote in this sentence from the template you gave. Okay, so we initially need to lower the normal test quantity 500 units so that we can evaluate quality and speed. Can you clarify what figure should be referred to in this sentence? And I understood the rest of the answer you gave. Okay. Okay, so it depends on what your intended how many units you intend to buy. So you said that the template itself included the number 500 units, but again, that depends on how many units you're looking to order. So that's the number you should put there in that sentence. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I understood the question correctly. How many samples from each company do we need, and how many companies should we get samples from, and how do we ship them all together? Um, So with regards to shipping them all together, I'm going to include that as part of the links under this video with regards to companies that may be able to pick up your various samples from different suppliers and ship them all at once instead of each supplier shipping them one at a time. That can definitely save you some money and ensure that you get all your samples at once instead of having to wait for each one separately. So I'll include that down there. In terms of how many samples from each company, or first of all, how many companies should we get samples from? I would say between three and five. And how many samples from each company? You just essentially need one, unless they have a different version of the product or different qualities of the product. It depends if they have different styles of that product. Then you can get a couple of samples or multiple samples, but generally you just get one sample from three to five suppliers. And then of those five, let's just say you, of course, narrow it down to the top one. So yeah, my product's crib comfort is patented. I think that should be crib bumper if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, but by Breathable Baby. So I advise all to check for patents. Thanks. Okay, excellent. So that's a good note there. That any product that you're going into, check for patents. There is a post in the members area with regards to three steps on how you can check for patents on any product. So check that out. So thank you for that suggestion. Okay, why the same product have different BSRs with the same seller? I would need to see an example of what you mean exactly. Why the same product has different BSRs with the same seller. I'm not sure what that means. I might need to see an example of that. I can send you the product's details if so desired to enable you offer to enable you to offer better advice. Yeah, if you want to email me, go ahead and do that, and I can look into it further. If we order two different products from two different companies, would we need to ship them separately to Amazon, or is there a way to ship them together all in one load? Um, Again, I'll refer to the same links of companies that could potentially pick up all of your products from different suppliers and then ship them all at once. But generally, I think that you can, or what I've done in the past is just simply order the products. If you're doing two different products from two different suppliers, then you can just ship them separately to Amazon. That's not a big deal. It may save you a little bit on shipping though if you get another third-party company to do it. If you do it all in one load, that's also a possibility. I was told shipping is CNF. I'm not sure what that means. If you want to clarify what CNF is, I'm kind of confused on that one. Is that what you were told by your supplier, CNF? I would have to look into that. Okay, I mean on the product that falls in two different categories with prices for $20 and $15 respectively. I will send you the details info to assist you and offer better advice. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if you want to email me, um, that would be perfectly okay. Okay, so the supplier told you that the shipping was CNF. So go to the uh, seller forums, Amazon seller forums, and check there if maybe someone knows what CNF means. All you would need to do is just search CNF. Actually, let's for you. Okay, so there's nothing that shows up for CNF. So maybe just clarify with your supplier, ask if they know what CNF means. I'll also ask Ridwan. Sometimes he has, the answer to these kinds of weird questions. So I'll ask him and see if he has any response as well. But yeah, I would just ask your supplier what exactly does CNF mean, or maybe it was a typo. I'm not sure. CFR. Okay. I'm not sure. Sorry, I wish I could kind of help on this one, but it seems like I can't find anything. So sorry about that. Okay. No, I don't think. Yeah, it's not even. I'll look into it, and I'll see CNF cost and freight. Okay. Okay, there you go. So CNF cost and freight, or cost no insurance freight, similar to CIF. Only this time insurance is not included. So that's essentially what it means. So hopefully that makes sense. I appreciate the response on that one. Yeah, I think that it's fine. I think it's used by some suppliers, and I think that it's fine if you go with CNF. I would ask about CIF because insurance is included when you have CIF. So ask them if you can do CIF instead of CNF. Generally, suppliers are okay with that. So just ask them about that because it's better to have insurance on there than no insurance. So again, I'll do some more research. I'll add that to my list, and I'll see if I can put up a post about that very soon. CNF versus CIF, and what you should potentially go with. Okay, what else? All right, guys. So let's jump into some of the live over the shoulder kind of stuff. So I had that one question. Um, okay, there's a couple more questions that just came in. Sometimes when I check a product, the top 5 listings fall under the criteria, but once I go further down the list, there are no more competition. Um, that's fine. That's actually a good thing. So, if the top 5 listings, that's pretty much what matters. With regards to competition and the optimization of listings, you are going to look more at all of page one instead of just the top 5 or top 7. But yeah, that's not a problem, in my opinion. It's actually a good thing if there's less competition. Okay, there's more competition. Sorry. So you're saying that there's more competition when you go further down the list. Yeah, so that's why with regards to competition, you do look at all of page one, not just the top 5. So as you may recall in the competition lesson, I believe in module 2, the criteria is that you look at all of page one and see, first of all, if you can find reviews or product listings with reviews less than 100, at least 2 of those. And then you also see how many products have optimized listings. If there are more than 3, then you don't want to go into that category as well, or into that market. So yeah, definitely, be wary of that and look into that to determine how high the level of competition is in that market. Do you have any warehouse in the US? No, I do not. One day, maybe, inshallah, but I do not currently. That'd make things a lot easier if I did have my own warehouse in the US, but I don't at the moment. All my suppliers prefer messaging rather than talking on Skype. I find that quite slow. And yes, that's horrible, and I'm sorry that you have to face that because I hate the Alibaba messaging platform. Skype is much easier. Honestly, it's a business relationship, it's a professional relationship. You can ask them, if they prefer Skype. But if they honestly prefer Alibaba, in messaging, then it's fine. Uh, if as long as the problem is not with the platform, if it's with the time that it takes them to for them to respond, that's a bigger issue. So you can be a bit stern with them. You can just be like, again, we talked about this in the course as well, that hey, set deadlines, set expectations. When can I expect a response from you? When can I expect this from you? If you do more of that, then hopefully they'll be more inclined to get back to you more quickly. Are there any good tips when negotiating negotiating with suppliers? Other than what's already been mentioned in the course, I can't think of any, but let me put that down as well on my list of things to look into, and I'll see if there's any better negotiating with suppliers tactics, and I'll get back to you on that as well. Okay. Okay, I'll see if I can get a warehouse, and then I'll charge all of you guys. Uh, and then he said that we'll give that address to the shipper, and Amazon can pick up from there. Sounds good. Okay. Hi. Is there any way you can look at Shower Caddy as a case study while you're doing your over-the-shoulder training? Do you recommend this kind of product that falls in home and kitchen category? Thanks. Yes, definitely. I'll look into that as I go into this. Let me actually pull that up. Okay, and then there was another one that I'm just going to pull up really quickly. Okay. Okay, there we go. So propane tank gauge scale. Okay, so at what point do you use the negotiating email draft? Okay, so that is a good question. The one that people think seems kind of harsh, and it is kind of harsh. You use that pretty much as a last resort, and that only is used after you evaluate samples and whatnot, and you're pretty much trying to decide who your final supplier is, right? So at that point, you can say that, hey, you know, we're kind of, we needed a lower price, someone else, kind of beat you out unless you can, lower it to their price or whatever. Whatever that template includes, I can't remember exactly what it says. But that's pretty much when you use it, when it's a last resort, when you're narrowing it down, even after you've already evaluated your product samples. Do we have any legally binding terms and conditions when ordering the mass order? Um, I'm not sure exactly what that means. But it's basically whatever you've agreed on with your supplier. So whatever's laid out on the actual invoice and on the agreement, that's essentially what is legally binding. Should we get quotes for more product orders in the future, say price for 100, 500, 1,000, etc.? Um, it depends. It depends honestly on whatever you're looking to order. So for example, I always try to go for three in the range which I'm looking for. So for example, if I'm ordering 1,000 units, or that's what I intend to order, then I ask them, hey, how much would it be for 500? How much would it be for 1,000? And then how much would it be for either 1,500 or 2,000? Okay, so you basically look for just two amounts, one higher and one lower than the intended amount that you're looking to order, to see what the range is, how the amount fluctuates based on how much inventory you'll be ordering and as part of that mass order. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into these two very quickly. So I'm gonna look into the shower caddy first. So this person essentially wanted me to rate this kind of platform, or this, excuse me, market. So I'm going to do that now. So essentially, and I'm going to speak while I'm doing this as best as I can. So hopefully y'all can follow along. This is essentially how I um, rate or determine whether or not a product is good or the market is good or not. So of course I'm going to ignore these three sponsored ads that show up, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at these results. So I see that first of all, the BSRs show up here. So the BSRs are in good range. I have 5,000, 3,000, 4,000. Then there's 11, 5, and 3. So it seems like the product itself is good in terms of the BSR. Now let's look at the price. So I see that the price here is 23. Then there's a 10, which is a bit below, but that's fine. I see 31, which is excellent. Then I see this is more of a traveling one, so I don't necessarily need to consider that one. I can take a look at these two here. So I see 35 and I see 16. So the price points are pretty good. I even see another one down here for 14. So that the price points are pretty good. It seems like they fall within our criteria. The next thing I can look at is just some of the other details of these products. So for example, weight and whatnot. So actually I can hover over this instead of opening these up in a new tab. So if I take a look at this, it's 1.6 pounds. This one is 5.2 pounds. So that one's definitely too heavy. If I scroll down here and I take a look at this is 5 pounds. This is 3.2 pounds. This is 2.7 pounds. So that's the first thing that kind of stands out to me with all of these products. With these typical shower caddies, it seems like they're too heavy, right? That's one of the basic criteria that falls under ease is weight. So unless you go with a light one like this one, this one's 1.6 pounds, which is okay. But again, look at the price of this one, right? It seems like it's lower quality, or it's lighter weight, and that's why maybe they're able to price it at much lower. Generally, your cost for a product like this is probably higher than average. So it may be $6, $7 to actually manufacture this. So how in the world are you going to sell it for $10 to compete, right? So that's one thing to think about is the weight. So simply based on the weight, I would not recommend this. Another thing here is the competition. So it seems like this one company offers many different types of this product, and they're pretty much dominating this market. So Zena, which is the Zena Home, which is the name of this company, they pretty much like if you even scroll down, then almost all of these or many of these are from the same company, right? And it's a sold by Amazon company, meaning they either Amazon bought them out or they're partnering with them. Um, so that's another thing, is that pretty much they're dominating the market. And another thing with any market like this where it's being dominated, it's generally because there are different styles. Okay. So, how do you know which kind of caddy would work best? Obviously, you can't produce all of them. You're not going to be able to compete with all of these, but you have to find and determine which of these would be best, or which of these styles would be best, right? So that's kind of another thing. How do you predict which of these styles is best, and which of them would you go with? You can kind of get an idea by seeing the BSRs and seeing which of the products have what kind of BSR and whatnot. But again, simply to keep this as simple as possible, just based on the weight, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Other than the weight, I think it seems like a pretty good market. Honestly, there's not too many, if at all, optimized listings here on page one. As I'm going through it, I don't necessarily see any ones. I do see, when you look at the sponsored ads, what's interesting is all three of these are um, all three of these are optimized listings, and they're all following the same strategies that I'm teaching you in this course, and they're not doing very well, right? So all three of these are. I mean, look at their BSRs; they're pretty bad. Even this one, which is the highest of the three, they're not doing well. They're at around 12,000 BSR, and this is actually is not. Um, this is not optimized in my opinion, for the most part. But yeah, even then it's 3 pounds. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that answers your question and kind of shows my logic behind, um, the answer to that question as well. Any questions on what I just did and how I went about doing that? Guys, yes, no, maybe so. Again, I apologize for my voice. I'm hearing my own voice and this is just horrible. Again, I'm still getting over like I said at the beginning, I've been sick for like the past week, so I'm still towards the later end of it. Okay, so it made sense and was helpful. Glad to see that. Okay, excellent. All right, let's move to the next product, which is the propane tank gauge scale. So I'm gonna go to uh, here, and so this person says, can you check the competition level on this product? It ranks number 6 in patio. I feel like it has low competition. Okay, so let's take a look at the competition level of this market based on what he was saying. I mean, okay, so let's ignore the sponsored one, even though the sponsored is the same as this top one, which is pretty crazy. So, okay, so this person, they're selling number 8 in, uh, okay, so that's a pretty big range right there. So they're number 8 in all of patio, lawn, and garden, which is ridiculous. If you take a look at this next one, it's also very good. Okay. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do here is I'm kind of wary about the keyword that you're using because it's a very long-tailed keyword, and generally that's not the correct main keyword. But let's take a look at it to see if that is the correct keyword, because I see a couple of products down here that have the word grill gauge, so that might be the more appropriate keyword that may enable us to more clearly see the appropriate players in the market. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to first take this keyword, this 4-word keyword phrase, and enter it here. And again, nothing shows up here, right? That's kind of an issue, that if the keyword that you have selected doesn't have these results, or doesn't have kind of multiple things showing up, and just it being 4 words is kind of a red flag automatically. So that's why I would go down and see what what some of the competitors or sellers have on their thing. So this, for example, Grill Gauge, that might be a better thing. Okay, so let's say Grill Gauge scale. Okay, so Gas Grill Gauge, that has 14,000 searches. So let's see if this one shows up when I search that. Okay, so it seems like it could be considered the same product, I guess. Both of them show up. Those two that we saw on the other listing, they both show up, but they're just not the top two. They're kind of, I think, numbers 4 and 6. So that's what I would honestly go off of. Is if I'm looking into this product, I wouldn't go with the original keyword um, that you sent me, because now look, I can actually see some of the other products that are selling in this category. So that's the first thing I would address. Now the second thing I would take a look at, now that we have the proper keyword, or what I think it is the proper keyword, is now take a look at now you take a look at the competition, right? So you want to make sure that, of course, the product you're looking at is similar to what you'll be selling. So again, these aren't necessarily what you're looking at, but okay, so this is number one, so that's around 3,000. Then you have what's interesting about this keyword is that it doesn't show only this, right? It shows kind of a few different types of products. So again, this is my first time looking at this, so please bear with me and my voice. So okay, so I see this as well. It's number 8. Okay. Okay. It's really interesting. I don't understand that. Okay, I'm gonna check the description of this. Maybe I still don't have the correct keyword. So this is a propane tank gauge scale. What does it do? Okay. Okay, so that may be the better keyword, propane tank gauge. So I'm gonna search that instead. Maybe that's it. Okay. And there's propane tank level gauge. Thank you for whoever submitted this and giving me the worst example ever to use part of this over the shoulder thing. This is horrible. Okay. I'm just kidding. This is it's a challenge, but it's okay. We'll try our best to figure this out. Mm, yeah, the number 8 one doesn't even show up here, which is a problem. Okay, so let's just say that um, honestly, it's kind of shocking that this product is number 8. But again, look at the BSR history really quickly. Um, it varies a lot. Even though it kind of it's gone as low or as more recently since um, since the month of October, it's been consistent around 5,000, 4,000. It's gone up. So it's definitely increased now in November, and then it went down a little bit, but it's still remain pretty high in terms of the BSR. High meaning the number is low. And then if you look at the other one as well, this is the same product. Sorry. The other one is right here. Yeah, so this one is it's been selling for a lot longer, and its range is also kind of varying, but it stays in between like 0 and like 8,000 generally, or even like 7,000 generally. So yeah, I think that this market is pretty good. It doesn't seem, other than these two sellers that are selling this kind of same type of product, this one is number 8 in all of patio lawn and garden, which is amazing. So just by looking at the competition, it's almost little to no competition in terms of that exact type of product. With regards to BSR, of course, it's extremely good. But the demand, not BSR is not the only aspect of demand. You also have to take a look at the trends, and you also have to take a look at the searching. So searching is decent. Trends is also okay. But in terms of the a number of products, right, you should find at least three product listings on page one that meet those criteria, right? And we can only find two. So that kind of is a little bit iffy with regards to demand. Are enough people actually looking to buy this? And again, as I've mentioned in a video previously, it's kind of easy to manipulate BSR for a short period of time. If I was to give away 100 units, for example, at a promotion, then I could easily manipulate my BSR. So what I would do, for whoever asked this question, is keep an eye on the rank of this product and of this product, and see how they kind of move, in what direction they move during the next, few days. Do they get better? Do they get worse? Are they staying consistent or not? That'll kind of give you a good idea if the rank or the BSR was manipulated by a promotion or a sale or not. Um, but yeah, and then another question is the demand. I don't know how, because for example, this product is also similar to those two, but this one is not doing well at all. It's around 17,000, right? Even though it's a lower price actually than the other two, but it's not doing as well for whatever reason. So again, that's another thing to take a look at. So okay, all right, another one here that someone just Spice Rack. So let's take a look at this. So again, I avoid the top three because they're sponsored. Not all the time they're sponsored, the top three, but just obviously make sure that you're looking at that closely. So those top three are sponsored. So we go down here, and the first one is really good. It's really high in terms of BSR. The next two are very good. They're around 2,000. Then you have that. Okay, so in terms of the BSR, they're extremely good. Now let's take a look at the price. So the prices are, other than this one, they seem pretty good. Some of these are a little bit low, um, but they seem pretty good. Okay, so the price points seem okay. You could easily sell the Spice Rack for I think around probably $15 at least. This one is, yeah. So this is a different style. It's not really a rack. It's more of an orbit thingy, whatever. So that's not. In terms of the more traditional ones like these, it seems like they're selling it around the same price. This one's pretty high actually. I'm not sure why. Oh, because this comes with bottles and 48 labels. This is probably pretty heavy. 6.6 pounds, yeah. So that's okay. So let's take a look at the weight. 2.4 pounds. 2.4 pounds. 6.6 pounds. Okay, so the weight may be an issue here. Um, Again, with this product, whether or not you're including bottles or not, or if you're including the Spice Rack alone by itself, um, some of these Spice Racks are pretty good in terms of weight. Some of them are not. I mean, even the ones that are good, pretty good in weight, they're selling pretty well. Their BSR is good. In terms of competition, so I always go in order. So if I look at demand, First I looked at the BSR. Next, what I look at always is I go to merchant words and I go to the to here. So obviously there's a lot of great demand for it. There's 770,000 average searches on per month according to merchant words. Um, so demand seems pretty good. If I go to profitability, that's kind of a concern a little bit, depending on, because some of the ones that are selling just the spice racks by themselves are around 12, 13, $14, as you can see here. So that's a bit concerning. Again, you want to try to stay between 15, at least 15 up to around $20 preferably. Just because if you get into a pricing where at any point you have some room to maintain a good profit margin. So that's kind of concerning. But even then, if you're able to price it around 15, that's not too bad. With regards to competition, so one of these companies, which is okay, so Decobro seems to have plenty of them here in the market, but they're not, like a major company or anything like that. So it's not that big of a deal. Competition, I'm also going to look at optimized listings. So I'm going through here and taking a look at if I can, quickly identify any optimized listings that show up here. And it seems like there aren't too many, which is great. Hmm, okay. All right, so in terms of optimized listings, this looks pretty good. I'm also going to look at the number of reviews. Okay, so let's see if there are at least two listings on page one that have less than 100 reviews. Okay, so there's one, but their BSR is kind of off there. But that's one there. And then there's two right here, but their BSR is also not that good. Three, their BSR is decent. Okay, so that's it. So I found three total listings that are below 100 reviews, um, that are on page one, which is good, and their BSRs are decent. So that one was 6,000, one was 13,000, which is not good, and then this other one was around 6,000. So in kitchen and dining, which is such a huge category, 6,000 is not bad. I believe according to Jungle Scout, their last chart, that's around 10 or 20 sales a day. I can't remember the exact number. So that's pretty good. Overall, I think this is a fairly good market and a fairly good product. It's not the best, but in terms of whether or not it would go on my product opportunities spreadsheet on my list, I would say yes, it would. There are a few, disclaimers or cautions. One is the weight. Make sure that you select something that's not too heavy. Secondly, take a look at the different styles of the spice rack. See which ones are selling best. And try to get the style that's kind of similar to the best selling ones. So those would be my disclaimers for this product. But yeah, in terms of going on the list, I would probably definitely put this on your list to at the very least, compared to other products that you may have on your list. I'm still doing my product selection. If I have any issues, can I email you for help? Yes, definitely. You can email me for help anytime. Uh, okay, someone said, if we have only one supplier that can provide the type of product you want to sell, should you go for it or pass, as the competition is limited with those characteristics? Honestly, if you're confident in the criteria in that product you think will sell very well in that market, and there's only one supplier that can provide that type of product, and you've already looked for many suppliers and you've talked to many suppliers, and that's the only one that can really do what you need, then that's fine. Right? That's fine. Just make sure you're getting a good rate, make sure you're negotiating with them, and go for it. I think especially if you're confident on the that product will do well, inshallah. Okay, so FOB price is essentially the price. of the product, of essentially the production of the product and the price. It includes the production as well as the price that the supplier. It includes that the supplier is going to take the product from the factory to their local port. So anything after that, meaning the actual air shipping from China, their port in China, to the port in the US and to the final destination, none of that's included, right? So that's why FOB price, you generally see that on Alibaba on the listing. That's why you always want to tell them, hey, I want door-to-door shipping, and then they'll add the cost per unit on that, or they'll give you the total cost, and you can see how that affects the per unit cost. Okay, guys, so hopefully that helped a little bit, in terms of the 3 or 4 products that I looked at and sort of evaluated. Um, if you have anything else right now, let me know. If not, the Adhan from Maghrib just went off, so I gotta go do that. But okay, so I've emailed you and I haven't gotten a response. Okay, I will take a look at your email definitely. Let me look into that. I apologize that you haven't received a response. My bad about that. I'll definitely right after this check my email. There are some emails that I haven't responded to, so I will take a look at that and respond ASAP. Can you please speak with me for 5 minutes after this call? Uh, I I don't think I can speak right after this call, but maybe if you can, the specific person, if you can message me on Facebook, we can maybe figure something out. Is it Black Friday this week? How would this affect the BSR of any product opportunities we already have researched? Do we go through our findings again after this Friday? Not necessarily, because BSR is relative, right? So I mean, it's all relative. So everyone's sales are going to shoot up. That's all that it essentially means. It basically means that if your product is at, let's say, 1,000 BSR, normally throughout the year, if you had like 20 sales a day, you may have like, let's say, 50 sales a day or something like that, right? Your thing is going to multiply, even though you're still at the same BSR, right? So the BSR doesn't necessarily matter in this case. It just during the holidays, it means that that same level that you're at in terms of BSR, you're just going to have more sales there. Hopefully that makes sense. And please let me know about toy certification. Yes, I will do that. I have already made a note of that. And I'll let you know as soon as possible, inshallah. Okay. All right, everybody. I appreciate y'all attending. I'll wait another minute or so just to see if any one of you has any other questions. So I'll wait. If not, then we'll end. So I'll wait just one more minute. So if you have anything else, let me know. Okay, so someone said that. Okay, so there's 2 questions that just came in. One is um, the question about being overwhelmed with the product, about finding products. So I think this was addressed during the last uh, coaching call, but he said that the voice kind of broke up when I was answering the question. So yeah, my basic advice on that was to be looser with the product criteria. So for example, instead of sticking very strictly to the 1,000 and 5,000 BSR, you could go like 800 and like 5,500 or 6,000 on the other end. And you can do the same thing with price. So instead of going, 20 between 20 and 50, you could do 15 or 13 and 40, right? So whenever you search on Profit Phoenix, if you're searching for it that way, then every single time what I like to do is edit something, right? So I always change something, or I select more or different categories every single time, so that I can get a different array of results every time in the search results. That really helps, and that's really helped me. Similarly, even if you're searching manually, same thing, right? Just make sure that you're looser with the criteria. Again, just the way I did the spice rack, even though it wasn't perfect, right? There were some issues that I saw with the product. That doesn't mean that I'm going to completely knock it out. I would actually put that product on my list, even though it has a couple of, issues. So you're never going to find, or very rarely will you find a product that perfectly meets all the criteria. You have to give it some leeway with regards to the criteria. What if all 20 of our products turned out bad? Should we start all over again in the search? It depends what you mean by bad, honestly. How bad were they? Did some of them at least meet the criteria closely? I mean, they couldn't have been that bad because they got on your list, right? So, again, that's kind of a relative kind of thing. Okay, someone said, I sent you a couple of products. Please look into them via email. Okay, I will definitely look at them. When I get a chance, I'll definitely look into those and provide you with a response. This other question, uh, you can respond to my email, but it was generally about marketing and launching. My products are coming in next week. So first of all, I'm really happy to hear that your products are coming in next week. That's amazing. That means that inshallah you'll be able to take advantage of the Christmas holidays, which is super exciting. So let me take a look at your email. Maybe we can get in touch and we can, I can kind of take you through some of the things that you should be doing at this point in the process. But that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you're at that process, or you're at that part of the process. Okay, guys. So I think that's it for questions. I appreciate all of you attending again. I really apologize again for any shortcomings or any questions or concerns that I wasn't able to address or answer. I've made a list on my phone right here next to me. If I could show you, I would. But I've done it, and I'm gonna, go through each one and try to check it off and make sure that I get it done for you guys, inshallah. So, I apologize also for my voice. Please forgive me. Uh, I know my voice already is boring, and when I'm sick, it's like super extra, ridiculously, insanely boring. So sorry about that, but hopefully the this coaching call was beneficial to you, and hopefully it was valuable. And hopefully, if you had any questions or concerns, hopefully they were addressed. If not, again, you can email me, or you can, post it in the group, and hopefully they can be addressed that way if they're not already things on my list. Have a great rest of the week, and again, continue taking action, continue staying consistent. There's obstacles that will come up, there's challenges that will come up. Some of you have emailed me with specific obstacles or challenges. Some of you are having a hard time finalizing a product. It's tough, I know, but it's a business and you have to keep it consistent. And inshallah, keep making dua, keep taking action, stay consistent with it, and use the support of your students and myself, and inshallah you can move forward and get past whatever obstacle you're facing. All right, guys, have a great rest of the week. Have a great evening or day wherever you are. And I'll see you guys next week on the next live coaching call. Assalamu alaikum.